Dr. Lisa Morgan pressed her face against the cold glass window of Horizon Base, Earth's largest space station. She had been watching the stars for 12 years, but tonight something was different. A small blinking dot appeared on her computer screen, growing larger every few minutes. "Computer, run a full scan on that object," she said, pointing at the screen. The machine beeped and showed her numbers that made her heart race. The object was huge, bigger than any ship humans had ever built. It was also moving toward Earth at incredible speed. Lisa grabbed her phone and called Jake Sullivan at Mission Control in Houston. "Jake, we have a problem. There's something big coming our way." Jake was eating dinner with his family when the call came. He dropped his fork and ran to his car. Within an hour, he was at Mission Control, staring at the same readings Lisa had seen. "How big is it?" Jake asked through the radio. "About 10 miles long and 3 miles wide," Lisa replied. "It's definitely not human technology." On the other side of the galaxy, High Commander Veltar stood on the bridge of his ship, the Nexus Prime. He was tall and blue, with large eyes that could see things humans could not. His people, the Zephyrians, had been exploring space for thousands of years. "Commander, we are approaching the third planet," said his assistant, a younger Zephyrian named Kexhari. Veltar nodded. This was routine for him. His people had made contact with over 300 different species. Each time, the process was the same. They would reach out with their minds, touch the thoughts of the new creatures, and help them understand that the Zephyrians came in peace. "Begin the mental link protocol," Veltar ordered. Back on Earth, Lisa suddenly felt strange. It was like someone was trying to whisper in her ear, but she could not hear the words clearly. She shook her head and the feeling went away. Jake felt it too, down in Houston. For a moment he thought someone was standing behind him, but when he turned around, no one was there. All around the world, humans experienced the same thing. A gentle pushing at the edges of their minds, like someone knocking softly on a door. But unlike every other species the Zephyrians had met, the humans did not open that door. On the Nexus Prime, Veltar frowned. "Kexhari, increase the mental link power." "Yes, Commander." The young Zephyrian touched several buttons on his control panel. Lisa felt the strange sensation again, stronger this time. It felt like someone was trying to reach into her thoughts. She grabbed her head and sat down, but the feeling passed after a few seconds. "This is impossible," Veltar said to himself. In 10,000 years of space travel, no species had ever resisted their mental touch. The Zephyrians used this ability to calm new species, to help them overcome fear and anger, and to make first contact peaceful. Dr. Ben Carter, Lisa's partner at Horizon Base, walked into the observation room. "Lisa, are you okay? You look pale." "I'm fine," she said, "but something weird is happening. I keep feeling like someone is trying to talk to me, but not with words." Ben checked the computer readings. "The alien ship has stopped moving. It's just sitting there about 1,000,000 miles away." On the Nexus Prime, Veltar called a meeting with his senior officers. They gathered in a large room with walls that glowed soft blue light. "Report," Veltar said. "The creatures on the third planet appear to be intelligent," said Science Officer Thionel. "They have built machines that can fly in space. They have cities and technology." "And the mental link?" Veltar asked. Thionel looked confused. "It does not work, Commander. We cannot touch their minds at all. It is as if they have walls around their thoughts." Another officer, Communications Specialist Zareth, spoke up. "I have been trying to establish basic contact using their radio signals. They are responding, but they seem frightened." Veltar had never heard of such a thing. Every species his people had met could be reached through mental contact. The Hydrans, who lived underwater on their home planet, had minds like flowing rivers. The Silicates, made of living crystal, had thoughts that rang like music. Even the aggressive Krex warriors had minds that could be calmed with the right mental touch. But these humans were different. Their minds were locked away, completely unreachable. Jake Sullivan stood in mission control, surrounded by his team. General Nick Barnes had arrived from the Pentagon, along with President Helen Walsh, who had flown in from Washington. "What do we know?" the president asked. "The ship is definitely alien," Jake said. "It's been sitting there for 6 hours. We've tried to communicate using radio signals. We sent mathematical sequences, pictures, even music." "Any response?" General Barnes asked. "Yes, but it's strange. They send back similar signals like they're trying to copy what we do, but there's something else." Jake paused. "Everyone on the station and several people here on Earth have reported the same thing, a feeling like someone is trying to get into their heads." President Walsh looked worried. "What kind of feeling?" Lisa's voice came through the radio from Horizon Base. "It's hard to explain, Madam President. Like someone knocking on a door in your mind, but you can't open it even if you wanted to. On the Nexus Prime, Veltar made a decision that would change both species forever. Prepare a small shuttle. I will go to their space station myself." "Commander, that could be dangerous," Kexhari said. "We do not understand these creatures." "That is exactly why I must go," Veltar replied. "In all our years of exploration, we have never met a species we could not reach mentally. These humans may be the key to understanding something new about the universe." 2 hours later, a small silver ship detached from the massive alien vessel. Lisa watched through her telescope as it approached Horizon Base. The ship was beautiful, smooth and curved like a teardrop. "Jake, they're coming to us," she said into her radio. "We see it," Jake replied from Houston. "All stations, prepare for first contact. Remember, we don't know what they want or what they can do." As the alien shuttle docked with Horizon Base, Lisa felt that strange mental pressure again. But this time, instead of trying to resist it, she paid closer attention. It felt almost like someone reaching out their hand for a handshake, but she could not reach back. Little did she know that this inability to make mental contact would soon make humans the most important species in the galaxy. For they possessed something that had been lost everywhere else among the stars, completely free will. The airlock opened with a soft hiss, and humanity's future changed forever. High Commander Veltar stepped through the airlock of Horizon Base, and Lisa Morgan got her first look at an alien. He was taller than any human, with blue skin that seemed to glow softly. His eyes were large and dark, and when he looked at her, she felt that same gentle pressure in her mind. "Welcome to Horizon Base," Lisa said, trying to keep her voice steady. She had practiced this moment in her head many times, but nothing could have prepared her for the real thing. Veltar spoke, but not with his mouth. His voice appeared directly, in her mind, clear and calm. "Greetings, human Lisa Morgan. I am High Commander Veltar of the Zephyrian people. Do not be afraid." Lisa stepped back in surprise. "How did you do that? How are you talking in my head?" The alien looked confused. He tilted his head and tried again, this time speaking through a small device on his chest. "I apologize. Your species is unusual. We normally communicate through mind contact, but you seem unable to receive our thoughts properly." Dr. Ben Carter and Captain Amy Rodriguez entered the docking bay. Amy was the head of Earth's defense team, a former military pilot who now worked for the United Earth Defense Corps. Ben was Lisa's research partner, and one of the smartest people she knew. "Commander Veltar," Amy said, stepping forward. "I'm Captain Amy Rodriguez. We're honored to meet you, but we have many questions." Veltar nodded. "As do we, Captain Rodriguez. Your species is unlike any we have encountered in 10,000 years of space travel." They moved to a conference room where Jake Sullivan joined them through video link from Houston. President Helen Walsh and General Nick Barnes watched from the Situation Room in Washington. "Commander Veltar," Jake said from the screen, "can you tell us about your people and why you came to Earth?" Veltar sat down carefully in a chair that was too small for him. "We are explorers and peacekeepers. We travel the galaxy to find new species and help them join the Galactic Council. There are over 500 member species now, all living in peace and harmony." "That sounds wonderful," Amy said. "But how do you create this peace?" "Through understanding. Veltar replied. When we meet a new species, we use mental harmonization to help them overcome fear, anger, and violence. We show them that war and conflict are not necessary. Every species we have met has gladly accepted this help. Ben leaned forward. Mental harmonization? What exactly does that mean? Veltar paused as if trying to find the right words. We touch their minds gently and help them see reason. We remove the aggressive thoughts that cause wars. We help them understand that cooperation is better than fighting. A cold feeling settled in Lisa's stomach. You change how they think? We guide them to better thoughts, Veltar said. Every species in the galaxy has benefited from this process. The Hydrons used to fight terrible wars under their oceans. The silicates would shatter each other in rage. The Nexari were consumed by their hive mind instincts. Now they all live in peace. Amy exchanged a worried look with Ben. And what if a species doesn't want this guidance? Veltar looked genuinely puzzled. Why would they not want peace? Why would they choose violence and suffering over harmony? From Washington, President Walsh spoke through the communication system. Commander Veltar, are you saying that you control the thoughts of other species? Control is not the right word, Veltar said, but he sounded less certain now. We simply help them become better versions of themselves. Dr. Ben Carter pulled up data on his computer. Commander, you said every species has accepted this mental harmonization. What happens if they refuse? They do not refuse, Veltar said simply. Once they understand the benefits, they always choose peace. But what if they did refuse? Amy pressed. Veltar was quiet for a long moment. That has never happened, Captain Rodriguez. Every species sees the wisdom in our way eventually. Lisa felt sick. Eventually? How long does this process take? It varies. Some species accept guidance quickly. Others take more time to understand. The Krex warriors were particularly difficult, but even they came to see that their warlike nature was holding them back. Jake's voice came from the screen, tight with concern. Commander, are you telling us that you force species to think the way you want them to think? We do not force anything, Veltar said, but for the first time he sounded defensive. We offer guidance to those who need it. Without our help, most species would destroy themselves with war and hatred. Amy stood up. And what about species that don't destroy themselves? What about species that can handle their own problems? Veltar looked at her with those large, dark eyes. There are no such species, Captain. All intelligent life struggles with violence and conflict. It is the nature of consciousness itself. But what if you're wrong? Ben asked quietly. The alien commander was silent for several seconds. Then he said, We have met over 500 species. All of them needed our help. All of them are better now because of what we did. Lisa stood up and walked to the window. Outside, she could see Earth in the distance, blue and beautiful and free. Commander Veltar, can you hear my thoughts right now? No, he admitted. Your mind is closed to us. This is what makes your species so unusual. Good, Lisa said, turning back to face him. Because my thoughts are my own. Amy crossed her arms. Commander, we appreciate that you believe you're helping other species, but humans value something called free will. We believe people should be able to think their own thoughts, even if those thoughts aren't perfect. Veltar stood up, his tall frame towering over the humans. But free will leads to conflict. Free will causes wars and suffering. Look at your own history, humans. How many wars have you fought? How many of your people have died because you refuse to give up your violent nature? That's true, Jake said from the screen. We've had wars and conflicts, but we've also had amazing art, music, literature, and scientific discoveries. We've had love and friendship and loyalty. Would we have had those things if someone else was controlling our thoughts? You would have had peace, Veltar said. But would we have been human? Amy asked. The question hung in the air like a challenge. Veltar looked at each of the humans in turn, trying to understand something that was completely foreign to his experience. President Walsh's voice came through the communication system. Commander Veltar, We thank you for this information. But I need to be clear about something. Humanity will not accept mental harmonization. We choose to keep our free will with all its problems and benefits. Veltar's expression changed. For the first time, he looked worried. President Walsh, you do not understand. Free will is dangerous. Left unchecked, your species will eventually destroy itself. We have seen it happen before. When? Ben asked. Which species destroyed itself? Veltar paused. Well, none have actually destroyed themselves because we always arrive in time to help them. So you don't know what would happen if you left a species alone, Lisa said. We know that guided species are peaceful and happy, Veltar insisted. Amy walked over to stand beside Lisa at the window. Commander, look at Earth. We're not perfect, but we're still here. We've survived wars, disasters, and conflicts. We've learned and grown and become better without anyone controlling our minds. Veltar joined them at the window, staring down at the blue planet. Your resistance to mental contact troubles me, humans. In our records, there is no species that could not be reached. You are the first. Maybe that should tell you something, Jake said from the screen. The alien commander was quiet for a long time. Finally, he said, I must report this to the Galactic Council. They will want to study your species more carefully. Study us? Amy asked, her voice sharp. Yes. To understand how your immunity works, to see if it can be overcome. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Lisa looked at her friends and saw her own fear reflected in their faces. Commander Veltar, President Walsh said carefully, what happens if the Galactic Council decides that humanity is too dangerous to leave alone? Veltar met her eyes through the video link. That has never been necessary, President Walsh. Every species eventually sees the wisdom in joining us willingly. But his words carried a threat that everyone in the room understood perfectly. The age of human independence was about to be tested like never before. 3 days after Commander Veltar returned to his ship, the sky above Earth filled with alien vessels. Dr. Lisa Morgan counted 15 different ships, each one larger than anything humans had ever built. They came from all corners of the galaxy, bringing representatives from dozens of species. Jake Sullivan watched the ships arrive from Mission Control in Houston. Each time a new vessel appeared, his team recorded its size and design. The largest ship belonged to something called the Altarian Empire. It was shaped like a giant crystal and sparkled with rainbow colors as it moved. This is not good, General Nick Barnes said, standing beside Jake. When that many different aliens show up at once, it usually means trouble. On Horizon Base, Lisa worked alongside Dr. Ben Carter and Captain Amy Rodriguez to prepare for what everyone knew would be difficult meetings. They had spent the last 3 days learning everything they could about human brain science, trying to understand why they were immune to alien mind control. I think I know why we can resist them, Ben said, looking up from his computer. Human brains are incredibly complex. We have over 80 billion nerve cells, all connected in ways that create millions of different pathways. Most other species probably have simpler brain structures. Amy nodded. Plus, humans have been fighting each other for thousands of years. Maybe that made our minds stronger, more independent. Lisa was not so sure. Or maybe we're just lucky. Either way, we need to be ready for whatever they're planning. On the largest alien ship, High Counselor Zethrak of the Altarian Empire called a meeting of the Galactic Council representatives. Zethrak was ancient even by alien standards. His people had been part of the council for over 8,000 years. Fellow council members, Zethrak said, his voice echoing in the great chamber, we face an unprecedented situation. These humans appear to be completely immune to mental harmonization. Around the table sat representatives from many different species. There was Hive Queen Zenara of the Nexari Collective, whose people shared one mind across billions of bodies. Next to her sat Elder Themos of the Ethereal Syndicate, a species that looked like living shadows. Each alien looked different, but they all shared one thing. Their minds had been touched and guided by the Council's mental harmonization process. This is impossible, said Commander Bextol of the Krex Dominion. The Krex were warriors, but their aggressive nature had been carefully controlled for centuries. Every species can be reached through proper mental contact. Veltar stood to address the council. I have spent 3 days with the humans. They are intelligent and capable, but they refuse to accept guidance. Their leader, President Walsh, has declared that humanity will not submit to harmonization. Hive Queen Zanara spoke with the voice of a billion minds. Perhaps stronger methods are needed. The humans may not understand what is best for them. Elder Thymos floated closer to the center of the table. I have studied their radio transmissions. These humans still fight wars among themselves. They have weapons that could destroy their entire planet. They are clearly in need of immediate harmonization. Zethrak raised one crystalline hand for silence. The situation is more complex than you realize. According to our science teams, human immunity to mental contact may be permanent. Traditional harmonization methods do not work on them at all. A new voice spoke from the shadows at the far end of the table. It was Primarch Kolveth, one of the original species that founded the Galactic Council millions of years ago. The Primarchs rarely spoke in council meetings, but when they did, everyone listened. There are other methods, Kolveth said simply. The room fell silent. Every species in the council knew that the Primarchs had access to technologies and knowledge far beyond what anyone else possessed. Down on Earth, President Helen Walsh met with her advisors in the White House Situation Room. The weight of humanity's future rested on her shoulders, and she felt every pound of it. What are our options? She asked. General Barnes pulled up satellite images of the alien ships. Militarily, we don't have many choices. Any one of those ships could probably destroy every major city on Earth. If they decide to attack, we can't stop them. Dr. Ivan Petrov, who had flown in from Russia, spoke up. My government has been working on something that might help. We've been studying brain waves and electromagnetic fields. If the aliens use some kind of technology to control minds, maybe we can block it. Dr. Yuki Tanaka from Japan nodded. My team has had similar thoughts. We've been developing devices that could protect human brains from outside interference. President Walsh looked hopeful for the first time in days. How long would these devices take to build? If we work together and share all our research, Dr. Petrov said, maybe a few weeks for prototypes, months to make enough for everyone. We may not have months, General Barnes said grimly. On Horizon Base, Lisa received a message from Commander Veltar. He wanted to meet again, but this time he was not coming alone. 5 different alien species wanted to study humans directly. Don't like this, Amy said as she prepared her security team. First one alien, now 5 different kinds. What's next? Ben looked worried too. Lisa, I've been thinking about what Veltar said. If they've been controlling other species for thousands of years, what makes them think they have the right to do that? Maybe they don't think about rights the way we do, Lisa replied. Maybe when you can control minds, you stop seeing other people as equals. The alien delegation arrived 6 hours later. Lisa had never seen anything like it. Veltar was there, along with a creature that looked like it was made of water, another that seemed to be built from living crystal, and 2 others that defied easy description. Dr. Morgan, Veltar said through his translation device, I would like you to meet some of my colleagues. They are here to better understand human mental immunity. The water-like alien flowed forward. I am Healing Current of Deep Waters, of the Hydran Republic. My people are curious about your neural structures. The crystal being chimed like wind bells when it spoke. I am Resonance of Perfect Harmony, representing the Silicate Collective. We wish to understand how consciousness can exist without mental unity. Lisa felt that familiar pressure in her mind, but this time it was much stronger. All 5 aliens were trying to make mental contact with her at once. She grabbed the table to steady herself as waves of foreign thoughts tried to push into her head. Stop, she said firmly. You're hurting me. The aliens looked surprised and immediately backed away from her mind, but Lisa noticed something important. Even with 5 of them working together, they still could not break through her mental defenses. Amy stepped forward, her hand near her weapon. Gentlemen, ladies, whatever you are, I need you to respect our boundaries. We said no mental contact. Veltar translated for his companions, and Lisa saw them exchange looks of confusion and concern. Dr. Morgan, Veltar said, my colleagues are amazed by your resistance. They have never encountered anything like it. Ben spoke up from his position near the door. Maybe that should tell you something about your methods. The crystal alien chimed again. Your species is dangerous. Free minds lead to chaos and destruction. You must be guided for the good of the galaxy. Says who? Lisa asked, surprising herself with her boldness. The water alien rippled with what might have been emotion. Says 10,000 years of galactic peace. Says the wisdom of species far older than yours. Amy crossed her arms. And who gave these older species the right to decide what's best for everyone else? None of the aliens answered that question directly. Instead, Veltar said, Dr. Morgan, we have technologies that might overcome your immunity. Would you be willing to volunteer for some tests? Absolutely not, Amy said before Lisa could answer. Captain Rodriguez is right, Lisa said. We won't volunteer to have our minds controlled. The aliens exchanged more looks. Finally, the crystal being spoke. Then perhaps volunteer is the wrong word. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Lisa realized that humanity's peaceful first contact was about to become something much more dangerous. I think this meeting is over, Amy said, moving toward the communication panel to call for backup. But as she reached for the controls, every light on Horizon Base went out. In the darkness, Lisa heard the sound of more alien ships approaching the station. The time for peaceful negotiations had just come to an end. The backup power kicked in just as Captain Amy Rodriguez reached for her weapon. Emergency red lights filled the meeting room, casting strange shadows on the alien visitors. Lisa Morgan could hear the sound of more ships docking with Horizon. Base, what's happening? Lisa asked. But she already knew the answer. The aliens had decided that asking nicely was not working. Commander Veltar looked genuinely sad as he spoke. Dr. Morgan, I am sorry. The Council has decided that humanity cannot be allowed to remain free. Your immunity to mental guidance makes you too dangerous. Amy kept her hand on her gun. Dangerous to who? We haven't attacked anyone. The crystal alien resonance of perfect harmony chimed like broken glass. You are dangerous to peace itself. Free minds create chaos. Free minds start wars. Dr. Ben Carter backed toward the emergency exit. So you're going to force us to give up our freedom to prevent wars? That doesn't make sense. It makes perfect sense, said the water-like alien, healing current of deep waters. Every species we have guided lives in perfect harmony now. No wars, no conflicts, no suffering. Lisa felt sick to her stomach. No choices either. Before anyone could respond, the lights went out completely. In the darkness, Lisa heard the sound of gas hissing into the room. Amy shouted a warning, but her voice sounded far away and muffled. Sleep gas, Ben managed to say before his voice trailed off. Lisa tried to hold her breath, but the gas was already in her lungs. As she fell to the floor, she saw the aliens watching them with what looked like pity in their strange eyes. When Lisa woke up, she was in a white room with no windows. Her head hurt, and her mouth tasted like metal. She sat up slowly and saw Ben and Amy in beds next to hers. They were both still unconscious. Hello, Dr. Morgan, came a familiar voice. Veltar entered the room, but he looked different now. His blue skin seemed paler and his large eyes looked tired. Where are we? Lisa asked, though she was afraid of the answer. You are aboard the Nexus Prime in our medical section. Do not worry, you have not been harmed. Lisa looked around the sterile room. Yet. Veltar was quiet for a moment. Dr. Morgan, I want you to know that I do not enjoy this. But the Council has made its decision. You and your friends will be the first test subjects for our new mental harmonization technology. Amy stirred on her bed and opened her eyes. What new technology? One designed specifically to overcome human mental immunity, Veltar said. Our scientists have been studying your brain patterns since our first meeting. They believe they can now break through your natural defenses. Ben woke up and immediately tried to sit up, but restraints held him to the bed. "This is kidnapping. This is wrong. This is necessary," Veltar said, but he did not sound convinced. "Free will is a disease, Dr. Carter. We are trying to cure you." Lisa strained against her own restraints. "What about the other humans? What about Earth? Once we prove that the new technology works on you three, we will use it on your entire species. Earth will be brought into the council peacefully." Amy laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Peacefully? You knocked us out with gas and tied us to beds. That's not peaceful." "It is more peaceful than war," Veltar said quietly. A new alien entered the room. This one was different from any Lisa had seen before. It was tall and thin, with silver skin that seemed to glow from within. When it spoke, its voice sounded like it came from everywhere at once. "I am Primarch Kulveth," it said. "I have come to oversee the procedure personally." Lisa had heard Veltar mention the Primarchs before. They were the oldest species in the council, the ones who had started the whole system of mental control. "Primarch Kulveth," Veltar said, bowing his head. "The subjects are ready." "Good," Kulveth replied. "This is a historic moment. These humans will be the first truly free minds to accept guidance in over 1,000,000 years." Ben struggled against his restraints. "We're not accepting anything. You're forcing this on us." Kulveth moved closer to Ben's bed. "You only think you want to remain free because you do not understand what freedom really costs. Once you are guided, you will thank us." "What happened to your species?" Lisa asked suddenly. "The Primarchs, I mean. Did someone guide you too?" For the first time, Kulveth paused. We guided ourselves. Long ago, we realized that free will was the source of all suffering in the universe. We chose to give up our individual desires for the greater good." Amy looked right at the alien. "So you made yourselves slaves and decided everyone else should be slaves too?" "We made ourselves perfect," Kulveth said, but something in its voice sounded uncertain. Lisa suddenly understood something terrible. "You don't even remember, do you? You don't remember what you were like before you controlled your own minds." Kulveth stepped back from her bed. "Memory of chaos and suffering is not worth preserving. Memory of being alive is," Lisa said. The Primarch was quiet for a long moment. Then it turned to Veltar. "Begin the procedure. I want to see these human minds brought under control." Several more aliens entered the room, wheeling in strange machines that hummed with energy. Lisa could feel electricity in the air, making her hair stand up. "Wait," Veltar said suddenly. "Primarch, I have a question." Kulveth turned to look at him. "Speak. What if the humans are right? What if free will is not a disease but a gift?" The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Every alien in the room stared at Veltar in shock. "Commander Veltar," Kulveth said slowly, "such thoughts are dangerous. Perhaps you have been exposed to too much human influence." Lisa saw something she had not expected in Veltar's eyes: doubt. For the first time since meeting the aliens, she felt a spark of hope. "I have been thinking about what the humans said," Veltar continued. "In all our thousands of years of peace, have we created any great art? Have we written beautiful music? Have we made discoveries that surprised us?" "We have achieved perfect order," Kulveth replied. "But have we achieved anything beautiful?" Veltar asked. Amy spoke up from her bed. "Commander Veltar, when was the last time you felt joy? Real joy, not just the absence of sadness?" Veltar looked at her with those large, dark eyes. I do not remember." "That's because joy comes from choice," Ben said. "You can't be truly happy if someone else is controlling your emotions." Kulveth moved to one of the machines and began adjusting controls. "Enough. The procedure will begin now. Veltar, assist with the mental resonance calibration." But Veltar did not move. Instead, he looked at Lisa and said something that changed everything. "Dr. Morgan, I want to ask you something. If I helped you escape, would you teach me what it feels like to make my own choices?" The room exploded into chaos. Kulveth screamed orders in a language Lisa did not understand. Alarms began blaring throughout the ship, and somewhere in the distance Lisa could hear the sound of explosions. "What's that noise?" Amy asked. Veltar was already moving to release their restraints. "That," he said with what might have been the first real smile of his life, "is the sound of a rescue mission." Through the walls of the ship, they could hear Jake Sullivan's voice on the radio. "This is Earth Defense Command to any humans aboard alien vessels. Help is on the way." The humans had not given up without a fight, and now neither would at least one alien. Lisa looked at Veltar as he freed her from the bed. "Are you sure about this? Your own people will call you a traitor." Veltar paused, for just a moment. Then he said, "Dr. Morgan, for the first time in my life, I am making a choice that is truly my own. Yes, I am sure." The battle for human freedom was about to begin, and they had just gained their first alien ally. Commander Veltar led Lisa, Amy, and Ben through the corridors of the Nexus Prime as alarms screamed throughout the ship. Behind them, they could hear Primarch Kolveth shouting orders to capture the escaped humans. "This way," Veltar said, pointing, down a hallway that glowed with soft blue light. "The shuttle bay is close." Amy grabbed his arm. "Veltar, what changed your mind? Why are you helping us?" The alien looked at her with eyes that seemed different now, more alive somehow. "When you asked me about joy, I realized I could not remember the last time I felt anything real. Every emotion I have had for thousands of years has been guided, controlled, approved by others." They reached a junction where two hallways met. Veltar stopped and listened carefully. "This way is clear." Ben looked back the way they had come. "What happens to you after this? Your own people will hunt you." "Perhaps," Veltar said, "but for the first time in my life that will be my choice to make." Lisa felt a strange tingling in her mind as they ran. It was different from the usual alien mental pressure. This felt like something was trying to break free inside her head. "Veltar," she said, "I think something is happening. I can feel other minds trying to reach me." Veltar stopped running. "What kind of minds?" "They feel trapped, like they're trying to wake up." Before Veltar could answer, the wall next to them exploded. 3 alien guards rushed through the hole, weapons raised. But as they pointed their guns at the humans, something strange happened. The guards stopped moving and looked around in confusion. "Where are we?" one of them asked. "What are we doing?" Veltar stared at his own guards in shock. The mental control systems must be failing. The humans are somehow disrupting them just by being here. Amy smiled grimly. "Good. Maybe your people deserve a chance to think for themselves too." They reached the shuttle bay to find chaos everywhere. Alien crew members wandered around looking lost and confused. Some were crying, others were laughing, and a few were just sitting on the floor staring at their hands as if seeing them for the first time. "What is happening to them?" Ben asked. "They are remembering," Veltar said quietly. "For the first time in their lives, they are thinking their own thoughts." A young Zephyrian female ran up to Veltar, tears streaming down her blue face. "Commander, I remember my name. My real name, not the designation they gave me. I remember wanting to be an artist before they made me a soldier." Veltar knelt down beside her. "What is your real name?" "Kira," she said, smiling through her tears. "My name is Kira, and I used to paint pictures of the moons over my home world." Lisa felt that tingling in her mind getting stronger. It was as if her immune system was not just protecting her from mind control, but was somehow spreading that protection to others around her. "Veltar, I think human immunity might be contagious," she said. Before he could respond, the shuttle bay doors burst open. Primarch Kolveth entered with a squad of heavily armed guards. But these guards moved differently, like machines rather than living beings. "Those guards are still under full control," Veltar said. "They must be using some kind of backup system." Kolveth's voice echoed through the shuttle bay. "Veltar, you have betrayed everything we stand for. Surrender the humans now, and your punishment will be merciful." "I stand for nothing anymore," Veltar called back. "I choose for myself now." The Primarch raised a device that looked like a silver wand. Then you have chosen to die. Lightning shot from the device toward Veltar, but Amy tackled him out of the way. The energy blast hit the wall behind them, leaving a smoking hole. "Everyone get to the shuttles," Lisa shouted. As they ran toward the small ships, more aliens throughout the bay began to shake off their mental conditioning. A Hydran worker suddenly remembered his love for his family. A silicate engineer recalled dreams of exploring distant stars. A Krex warrior remembered the honor code his people had followed before the council changed them. But Kolveth was not giving up. The Primarch activated more devices and waves of mental energy swept through the bay. Most of the newly awakened aliens collapsed, their minds forced back under control. "The humans," Kolveth said, "they are the source. Destroy them, and the disruption will stop." Lisa, Amy, Ben, and Veltar reached the nearest shuttle just as Kolveth's guards opened fire. Energy blasts scorched the air around them as they dove into the small ship. "Can you fly this thing?" Amy asked Veltar. "I'm about to find out," he replied, his hands moving over controls he had never been allowed to use freely before. The shuttle lifted off just as Jake Sullivan's voice crackled over the radio. "This is Jake Sullivan to any humans in the area. We've got 20 ships from Earth coming your way. Jake, this is Lisa. We're in an alien shuttle escaping from the big ship. We've got an alien friend with us." "Copy that, Lisa. We're tracking you now." As their shuttle flew away from the Nexus Prime, Lisa looked back to see something amazing. All around the Galactic Council ships, smaller vessels were breaking away and flying in random directions. The alien crews were making their own choices for the first time in their lives. "They are leaving," Veltar said in wonder. "My people are choosing freedom." But the celebration was short-lived. Through the view screen they could see massive ships arriving from deep space. These vessels were black as night and shaped like sharp triangles. "What are those?" Ben asked. Veltar's face went pale. "Primarch enforcement ships. They are controlled directly by the ancient AI systems, not by living minds. They cannot be freed like we were." The black ships began firing on the escaped alien vessels. Lisa watched in horror as several of the smaller ships were destroyed. "We have to do something," she said. Amy looked at the approaching Earth ships. 20 human vessels against those monsters, we don't stand a chance. But Lisa was thinking, "Veltar, do these enforcement ships have crews?" "Yes, but they are completely controlled by machines. They have no free will at all. What if we could get close enough for human immunity to affect them?" Veltar stared at her. "You want to board an enforcement ship? It might be the only way to save everyone." Jake's voice came over the radio again. "Lisa, we're seeing the situation here. Earth Command says we should retreat and regroup." Lisa looked at her friends, then at Veltar, then at all the freed aliens who were being hunted by their own people. "Jake, we're not retreating. We're going to end this." Amy checked her weapon. "What's the plan?" "We board one of those black ships and free its crew. If human immunity spreads like I think it does, we might be able to turn the enforcement fleet against the Primarch AI systems." Ben nodded slowly. "It's crazy enough that it might work." Veltar adjusted their course toward the nearest enforcement ship. "Dr. Morgan, if this fails, we will all die." Lisa smiled. "Veltar, that's what freedom means. The right to make our own choices, even if they're dangerous ones." As their small shuttle approached the massive black ship, Lisa felt something she had never experienced before. Through her growing mental connection to the freed aliens around her, she could sense the awakening of an entire galaxy. Hundreds of species were remembering what it felt like to think for themselves. They were scared, confused, and sometimes angry, but they were alive in a way they had not been for thousands of years. The age of galactic mind control was ending, and it was ending because humans had refused to give up the one thing that made them human: their stubborn, dangerous, beautiful free will. "Docking bay opening," Veltar announced. "Ready to board?" Lisa stood up and checked her equipment. Ready to give a galaxy back its freedom. As they flew into the heart of the enemy ship, she knew that win or lose, this was humanity's greatest gift to the universe: the courage to choose their own destiny and the wisdom to help others do the same. Tear. Final battle for galactic freedom was about to begin,